Next up is the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Jeff Lebby, his first year at Mississippi State, kind of got off to a rocky start there with the Bulldogs. They're only 2-10 in his first year at the helm. That tied for Mississippi State's worst record in 36 years. Now, Jeff Lebby was brought in as an offensive guru, and their offense was at least average last year. They were 69th in EPA per play, but it was Bulldogs' defensive struggles, which ultimately led to their 10 losses last year. 9th worst team in the country, 3rd worst team in the Power 4 in terms of defensive EPA per play. Now, the offense should have, a similar performance next year, even though they lost 3 of their top 4 receivers, mainly because quarterback Blake Shapen is recovered from a season-ending injury, shoulder injury last year, and also Mississippi State added a very good running back in Fluff Bothwell, we'll talk about later, coming in from the transfer portal to assist in the ground game. But they need that defense to take significant steps forward next year, or else the Bulldogs probably will be one of the worst teams in Power 4 once again.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, look, Jeff Lebby's an offensive coach. He was a former offensive coordinator at Oklahoma, and you're talking about a guy that's going to be their base. He wants to play up-tempo, and last year when Blake Shapen got hurt, it really threw that tempo off, right? Because what was it? Michael Van Buren, right, coming in for him, who's now at LSU. He's Nussmeier's backup. So, I mean, you just talk about he had an inexperienced quarterback after Shapen got hurt. When Blake Shapen was healthy early in the year, they had a functional offense, right? So I'm expecting that to be the case. So between Shapen at quarterback, and you mentioned Bothwell at running back, who had a really good year at South Alabama last year, gives them really nice physicality in the backfield, they certainly can function. If they can get into the RPO game, get Bothwell going on the ground, and then just get into Lebby's system that runs at such a fast pace and is so heavy on RPOs. Blake Shapen's got a really good arm when he's clean in the pocket. It's just a matter of, again, keeping him clean against all these monster defensive lines in the SEC. That was really because he got hurt, I believe, against Florida last year, right? That was his last game, and that was even a high-scoring game. So, look, I think the strength when you talk about this team, it's Jeff Lebby. It's his ability to call plays and play with tempo. And then they just got to keep their quarterback healthy, and they can at least function on offense. And I thought that's what they did early last season.
Yeah, bring back Blake Shapen, who was really good last year, the 85-ish passing grade. Fluff Bothwell, mentioned before, had a great true freshman year at South Alabama. And also brought back your leading rusher in Devon Booth, who had a 76.5 rushing grade in 2024. Now, the weakness I mentioned before is how much will this defense improve? 55.3 defensive grade last year, the worst mark in the Power 4 and the second worst defensive grade in all of college football. Mississippi State did add a few projected starters in the transfer portal, but they'll really need to step up in order to improve what was maybe the worst defense, I should say, in the entire country.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, when you're talking about you had a bottom 5 graded defense in the nation, that's where it starts.
Bottom two.
Bottom two. I mean, if you can't make stops, don't matter how much you can score, right? We've said it with a couple other teams already, but this was to an extent that was just unsustainable. So they need to take a big step on defense. Look, I think we saw a similar component last year, say with a team like Arizona State, right? Who, they struggled. They went 3-9 the year before. They had to find their attitude on defense and then mix it in with the offensive firepower that they had. But I think that's what you're talking about with Mississippi State is offensively, I think there is going to be progress. I do. It's just a matter of can they make enough stops to keep themselves in games.
Well, Dalton, a guy who could really help out that offense, a guy who looked pretty good last year in limited time was Blake Shapen, the transfer quarterback from Baylor. Tell me more about him as he kind of recovers from that shoulder injury.
Yeah, so I think Shapen fits. I felt this last year when he transferred in from Baylor. I think he fits this offense well. It's heavy RPO, it's heavy play action, and it's heavy deep shots down the sideline, right? When you look at what Shapen did with those elements last year, 89.5 play action grade. Going back to 2021, the last 4 years, that's a top 25 mark in the country. Jeff Lebby runs a heavy play action, a passing attack, I should say, with RPOs, play action. And last season, small sample, 94.7 passing grade on 10-plus yard throws. The only guys better, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart. Blake Shapen can sling it. If he's healthy and he's kept clean in the pocket, he can sling it. The problem is under pressure, there's some decisions that you really question, right? In his career, a 41.8 passing grade under pressure, he feels the heat. So if they can find a way to protect him and give him enough time to throw it downfield, especially off of play action in the system, he's a good fit. And I think he showed that early last year, but that's what it has to be. He's got to get rid of the ball quickly. They have to find ways to protect him with both protection and the play calling. But Shapen fits. I thought he fit last year. He unfortunately got hurt against Florida. I think over a whole season, they can do some things on offense with him as a quarterback, because it's a lot of the similar things that he showed at Baylor. And he was a solid quarterback at Baylor, and then he goes over here with Jeff Lebby. I think it's a good system for him.
Yeah, so do I. And even if he does get hurt again, Dalton, they brought in Luke Kromenhoek coming in from Florida State. He was the number 4 quarterback coming out of high school in 2024. The only 3 above him, DJ Lagway, Julian Sayin, Dylan Raiola. That's it. So
players.
Luke Kromenhoek, a guy who's a top 50 recruit coming out of high school. Yes, he's a backup quarterback now, but some really high potential for him as the future starter probably for Mississippi State and Jeff Lebby. He showed some good stuff last year too. He had to start a little bit for Florida State last year. Showed some intriguing stuff for the Seminoles last year too. But Blake Shapen, yes, absolutely. I'm really excited to see what he can do after coming back from that injury. I'm really excited to see what Fluff Bothwell can do in the SEC now. Fluff Bothwell was not a highly rated recruit like Luke Kromenhoek coming out of high school. In fact, Fluff Bothwell was the number 126 running back coming out of high school in the 2024 high school class, but he hit the ground running as a true freshman at South Alabama. A 94 rushing grade last year for Fluff Bothwell. That was 4th among all running backs in America. The only 3 above him, Ashton Ginty, Cam Scadaboo, Damian Martinez. 3 guys who just drafted into the NFL draft and 3 superstars in college football last year. Fluff Bothwell forced a missed tackle on 35% of his carries, tied for 9th among all running backs in the nation. He is a human bowling ball at 5'10", 230 pounds, and he'll try to take his dominance to the SEC this year. Though I was watching his tape as a freshman, just some of the most fun tape I've watched so far.
Give you that same feel as like a Jonah Coleman from Washington, bowling over people constantly. And I don't know. Did you? I read this recently. Do you know why they call him Fluff? It's
why?
His nickname. Obviously, that's what he goes by.
Because 230.
Well, not just that. He was an 11-pound baby.
Damn.
11. Yeah, I'm like,
so he was bowling over kids in the nursery, even as a baby.
Absolutely. I think I read his parents started having him play football at 3 years old because he was just big enough to do it. An 11-pound baby, which props to his mother, honestly, because that's crazy. An 11-pound. I don't know if I've even heard of that. I mean, but you know what now? Why he's 230 and running people over? Absolutely. And to call a 200, doesn't that deceive you a little bit? Call a 230-pound running back Fluff?
I will admit, when I saw the name Fluff Bothwell, I was going to turn around and say, I was like, he's probably like 5'8", 175 pounds. I was like, no, he's 5'10", 230.
You're looking for Darren Sproles.
I judged the book by its cover.
Oh, yeah. Jeez.
He did.
Up. I'm telling you, you want physical?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He was killing dudes last year as a true
It gave
freshman.
me the same vibe as like a Jonah Coleman, where I'm like, okay, you're not a 4.3 burner. You're going to hurt somebody.
And the thing is, too, when guys transfer up to the SEC at running back, if they play a more agility-style game, it sometimes doesn't work in the SEC. If you bring physicality at running back, that always translates to the SEC too. So I'm excited to see what he can do.
Tighten the chin strap when you're tackling him. Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
All right, who is the defensive player spot that we're going to highlight here?
How about another Sun Belt transfer? Let's do this. Let's go down to Old Dominion this time, and they got a safety named Jerron Manning who had a 90 coverage grade last year, and this is one who's kind of an underdog. He was a junior college guy before Old Dominion. Goes to ODU last year as their free safety. Actually, I shouldn't even say free safety. He played a lot of different roles in their defense. Free, strong, a little bit in the slot, but he ain't afraid of anybody. He's only 5'10 and 195, but he's a physical player. His eyes can read quarterbacks really, really well. I'll tell you what, if you want a backbone at safety, especially a versatile guy to really be an anchor for a defense that's trying to build this thing up, Jerron Manning is a good place to go. I think my favorite thing about him is the way he reads quarterbacks and sometimes the way that he reacts to route concepts. He's got a good idea of what he's looking at on the other side of the ball. He's got good recovery speed, even if he's a step behind. So I think Jerron Manning's going to play a big part in this secondary this year. When you talk about, okay, the first thing you have to do is not give up big plays, he's one of those guys. Only gave up a 26 passer rating into his coverage last year, and keep in mind that 39.6 is spiking the ball into the ground every play. So this is somebody who's got a good read on the football, and you want to make sure you look him off before you throw in his direction.
Absolutely. He was phenomenal last year at Old Dominion. 26 passer rating to his coverage, 6th in America, 90 coverage grade, led all group of 5 safeties to a 2nd in the country country. I love watching his tape at Old Dominion too, and it's really cool to see him go from the JUCO level up to Old Dominion, star like that, and now playing at the SEC level at Mississippi State. All right, bottom line time now, Dawn. Mississippi State's win total is only 3.5 right now. I think it's by far the lowest win total we have in the SEC. You're taking the over or under for that win total right now, and what is the bottom line for Jeff Lebby in year 2 with Mississippi State?
That's interesting because that's a weird win total because you sit here and you go, okay, there's 3 games where you have Southern Miss, Alcorn State, Northern Illinois, where you go, okay, you go 3-0 there. Then you're talking, right? Then you go, okay, I just need either one SEC.
Southern Miss added Charles Huff, right?
Yeah, and they got all those Marshall guys coming over. So it's oddly at Southern Miss. It's kind of weird that it's there. So I mean, you have those 3, and NIU's no pushover either.
They beat Notre Dame. Yeah.
But you also have a brutal SEC schedule and an Arizona State game early in the season. I'm still going to take the under. I think this team is another year away. They need another culture building year. And this is more about the rest of the SEC, I think, than it is about Mississippi State. If you're going to compete in this conference with all these great teams that we have, you got to be ready every single week. I just don't quite think they're there yet. I'm going to take the under. I know it's rough to be picking unders on 3.5, but somebody's going to be at the bottom of this conference, and I think this team, they still need another year. Certainly, if you need to make this big a jump on defense, I think it's going to take multiple years.
It's tough, man, because 3.5 is like all you got to do is basically win one SEC game, and you get the over on that.
Well, right, but you mentioned it. Southern Miss with Charles Huff and all those Marshall guys. Northern Illinois. I mean, Northern Illinois is always at least solid. So you're relying on 3-0 and then 1, but if you lose one of those 3, then you have a real because their other out of conference game is Arizona State, and they're pretty good too. We'll get to them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go under.
Even like the one SEC game I see that they could win is at Arkansas though. I wish they host Arkansas. Maybe they could pull off the upset there, but
it's tough.
Yeah, I'm going under. I hate doing it because I love Fluff Bothwell that much, but I'm going the under on Mississippi State. I think it'll take some time. I do like what they're doing. They're actually recruiting at a pretty good level right now, Mississippi State, and they just did a great job in the portal. Adding a guy like Jerron Manning, one of the highest grade players of safety in the country, adding Fluff Bothwell, one of the highest grade running backs in the country. Jeff Lebby knows what he's doing at Mississippi State, and I do have faith in him going forward, but it could be another rough year too for him.
I like Lebby a lot as an offensive coach. Absolutely, I think that part of that side of it's going to get figured out pretty soon. Here, it's the other side, and again, if you're playing all these great teams that they're playing and you can't make stops, it's the shootout thing, but on a level where it's not sustainable to win games. Certainly with what they have on defense.
No, you need immense improvement on defense to escape the basement of the SEC right now. I don't know if that's coming from Mississippi State, even though I like some of the offensive pieces they have, like Blake Shapen, like Fluff Bothwell, and other guys too, but just don't think there's enough defensively and enough in that receiving core either that I think they're going to make win more than 3 games. So unfortunately the under, even though it's a low win total for Mississippi State next year, but I do have faith in the program going forward.